G'day, my name is Matt from BSharp Tech, and today we'll be doing a live website review. You'll have to excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, but I'm going to do it anyway. So we'll see how far I get. If I completely lose my voice, I might have to end it early. This is done live. It's done on the go. It's not prepared. It's designed to help you with your website. There's a couple of aspects we look when it comes to your website. We'll be looking at performance. So how your website performs, how fast it loads, how fast, how long it takes to display. The second aspect is SEO, which is search engine optimization. So this is how well your site is set up for making sure that you get the best ranking on search engines, in particular Google. And the third aspect is just various aspects of web design that we'll talk about. So I've got a few websites to start with, but if you want me to critique your website and you are on the live stream, all you need to do is jump onto the chat and pop in your website address and ask me what aspect you want me to look at, and I'll endeavor to look at it. If there's too many sites, obviously I won't get to all of them, but if I don't get to you, I might reach out privately later on. So still leave your details there, and I can pop back later and have a look. So I'll just show this little banner here. So just add your website to the comments for a chance to review. Okay. So just to get the ball started, I might just talk a little bit about what BSharp Tech is. So BSharp Tech, I'm the owner and founder and director of BSharp Tech. I used to work in the corporate world. I decided to leave the corporate life and start my own business. We are a digital marketing and website design company. And there's three main aspects of what we do here at BSharp Tech. And I'll just show this little diagram. It gives you an idea. So the first thing we look at is the presence. What is how do we have, we create your website, we secure it on hosting, and we support it. So this is just about building and getting you online. Okay. The second aspect that we look at is around building traffic for that website. So it's fine to have a website, but if you build it, no one comes basically. You need to be able to um, show bring traffic to your website. And there's a number of ways we do that. We do that through search engine optimization, which I mentioned before. We do that through search engine marketing, which is Google Ads mainly. We also do that by building content. Content can be related to SEO as well. But basically, we're building quality content that ranks well. Um, but there's a third aspect. You can build a website and you can have traffic to it, but then you need to actually do something with the traffic. So we've got this side of our business called Nurture, and this is about nurturing the visitors that come to your website. So a lot of people that come to your website um, will just come and go. They'll bounce. They won't be interested in your product, or they think they're interested, but they're just doing research, etc. So this nurture side is all about trying to capture those people using various techniques, and I'll talk about that throughout the reviews, and doing things like email marketing, building lead funnels, and we also have a CRM called BSharp CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool that enables you to manage the relationship with those leads once they're off your website. So a lot of sales don't come around just by people finding your website and immediately buying. A lot of your sales will come around by nurturing some of these people that are interested in your products and services, but are just not quite ready to buy. All right. So it may take multiple touch points with some of these people to sort of convince them to buy. But if you get the perfect blend of presence, traffic, and nurture, what it leads to is a massive increase in your sales, which is the thing here. So most people come to us and they want a website, but actually what they really want is sales. And the reason why they want sales is they want to increase their revenue. And the reason why they want to increase their revenue is because they want to be profitable. And they want to be profitable because they want to run a successful business so they have a wonderful life, etc. So at the end of the day, if you combine these three elements, it leads to this sales in the middle. Okay, so what we'll do is we might get started with the first website I found, and this is, I'll just change my screen, just give me a second. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay, so I'll just remove that banner. All right, so this is a website that is a local pediatric dentist. Um, so the first thing I look at when I look at a website is when the website loads, does it convey a sense of what the business is? So in this case, it's really good. I got a girl here smiling with great teeth. Well, I think they're great teeth. I'm not sure, but straight away you've got a banner that talks about what they're about, which is good, maintaining great oral health for families. And they're a pediatric dentist, so it's appropriate that they have a picture of a child at the front. The other thing I look at is um, is there a clear call to action? Okay. In this case, they've got to contact us here, and they've got a number of links at the bottom. So they've got a book appointment, call us directly, or a referral form. It's really important that you have a clear call to action above the fold. And what I mean when I say above the fold is everything that you see when your page first loads is above the fold. And as you scroll down the page, everything else is below the fold. Okay, so I guess the fold is a sort of an imaginary line that exists at the bottom of this page, this first page. And then everything down here is what they call below the fold. Okay, so as when people visit your site, um, they're more likely to see this content that's at the top, and as they scroll down, you'll find less and less people will actually get to the bottom. Okay, so it's nice to have all this detail, etc. But the most important content is actually above the fold. So in this case, this is a really good example because you've got clear call to actions above the fold. All right, so this is well done. The other thing I look at on websites is not all screen sizes are made the same, right? So, um, you know, the websites need to scale to different screen sizes. And if you just right click on Chrome and press inspect, you can actually, there's a little tool up here that enables you to change the dimensions and size of the screen based on, you can actually choose different devices here, and you can even edit and create new devices if you want. But this is what approximately what this would look like on a iPhone 14 Pro Max. So this is good. Straight away the menu turns into this little burger menu, which is pretty standard for most websites. The logo scales well. You can still see the picture of the child, which is great. You can still read the text. You can still clearly see the call to actions, and they're above the fold. All right, so this is done really well. It not only works on desktop, but it works on mobiles as well. I also like to see, I press this little responsive button and just change the size. And you can see this website is being designed well because the various elements change as the screen size gets bigger. You can see instead of having these call to actions stacked, they're now side to side. Burger menu is still there for this size, but as you get bigger, burger menu disappears and you now have a full menu. So yeah, so this is done well. This is a good example. Okay. Yeah, so web design is great for this one. The other thing I look at is the SEO elements. Is there a so there's a couple of aspects of SEO that we need to look at. One is the on page elements. Is there the correct keywords for this industry, etc. Now, I'm not going to look too much at that. Another, because there's quite a lot of keyword research that you need to do for a website to understand that. The other thing is a technical SEO. Now, technical SEO is what is under the page. So again, if I just inspect this side page, you can see this is sort of how a Google crawler would look at your page, right? So there's lots of information that you need to give on your website. And I can see here they've actually got Yoast. So Yoast is an SEO plugin for WordPress, which is a great plugin to use. There's another one we also use called Rank Math. So Yoast or Rank Math will do the same thing. But the reason why it's important is it makes sure that you got the correct title tags. The title tag is this little bit of information at the top here. Okay. And you've also got the correct description. Now, the reason why it's important to have these descriptions for SEO is without this, Google will have to sort of scan your page and sort of guess what you do. Now, you've got control over what the meta description will be on your listing, and this is your chance to sort of put the correct keywords to target the sort of things that your audience is looking for. Okay, so just to give you an idea, if you grab the URL there and you just put in site colon and then the URL, and you can do this with your own website as well. With site colon and then your URL, it'll show you what Google has in the index for your page. So the title is this bit at the top, and you see for this one it actually truncates it ... So if your title's too long, it actually doesn't matter. Now in this case it's not too bad because you've got everything that you needed to convey in the title anyway. And then you've got about 160 characters here for the meta description. You see that there, that's the meta description. MacArthur Pediatric Dentistry mission is to have a positive, lasting, and profound impact on the oral health and overall well-being of every child we look after. So if you go back to the website, you'll see that matches that description just there. Okay. So again, this is an example of SEO, technical SEO done well. This one's already taken care of. There are tools that you can use to scan, and I'll do a quick scan and just see. I wouldn't be surprised if this one has a really high score though. So there's one called Light Speed. And in fact, I probably won't use that. I might just go to this one and use this one first. So this is Google's page speed insights tool. So you can, if you just go to pagespeed.web.dev, you can pop your URL in there and it'll do some analysis, and it will do it for mobile and desktop. But we'll just look at mobile for now. We'll just give it a look. So this will look at performance as well, but it also looks at other aspects. So we'll just let that run for a second. And I'm going to take a glass of water because my throat's killing me. All right, so one area it does look at is SEO, and I'm not surprised. They've scored a 99 out of 100 scoring, which is near perfect for the SEO. The only thing that this tool has actually picked up is that some of these tap targets are not sized appropriately. So that's a minor issue, but something that can be easily solved with a website designer such as myself or someone else. So yeah, very good score for SEO. If you have a look at this as well, it gives you an idea of what aspects of SEO are done well. So in this aspect, they've said they've got a great, they've got the viewpoint, the meta viewpoint set, which is good. So that there's some information here. I won't read through all these, but there's some information on why that's good. The title tag, which we spoke about before, gives readers an overview of the page, and search engines rely heavily to determine if the page is relevant to their search. Okay, the meta description, which we spoke about, and lots of other things. So, whether the page has a successful HTTP status code, so it can be indexed, whether it's crawlable. Robots.txt is a file that most websites have that just tell crawlers what they can do with your website. Alt tabs, alt attributes for images are really important. So on and so forth. So this is really good result for them. But there are other aspects of the website we need to look at. Performance is one. So now performance is really the amount of time it's taking for the page itself to load in this case, on a mobile phone. So they've got a 52 out of 100. So there is some room for improvement for this site. The first contentful paint. This is the first bit of the screen that comes up and is shown, is taking, more than, about 4.7 seconds when run this test. Now that doesn't sound like a long time, but when you think about it, you go 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. That's quite slow. You want to try and get that under a second. All right. And the largest contentful paint, which is basically everything's painted, is taking 11.2 seconds. So you can see here, there's a little diagram that shows what it looks like. So 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 4 seconds. So it takes a long time before anything is displayed. All right. And you can get more details about what is slowing this down. Okay. This element, for example, contact us. The largest contentful element painted within viewpoint is taking a considerable amount of time. So there might be some optimization that would be required to improve that. Render blocking resources. So there's all sorts of code, CSS and JavaScript that may be taking a long time to load on your page. Now, some of these elements are hard to fix. For example, you can't really get rid of jQuery. It's kind of required for most JavaScript functions. CSS here, you can do things like minify your CSS. You can also combine your CSS into one file. You can do the same with JavaScript. So if setting JavaScript, you can optimize the JavaScript code, etc. Usually, though, this is a WordPress website, and you'll notice here it's talking about plugins. There is one plugin that we've used that is good to look at called WP Rocket. So if you just do a search for WP Rocket, you can find that. And this will do a lot of the optimization that you require that might be coming up on this page speed insights here, straight out of the box without much mucking around. It's one that we use. We provide it free to all our customers. It's sort of like a plugin. You just plug it in, and straight out of the box, you can get a lot of performance optimization straight away just by enabling this plugin. It's not a pricey plugin. It's only $59 a year for a single license. As an agency, we have an infinite license, so all our customers get a copy of this, and we use this on their website in order to improve the performance for our customers. And there's various other things. Images can be a big reason why pages take a long time to load. A lot of images used on websites are not appropriately sized. So people think they need really high resolution pictures in order to make the website look fantastic. That's not necessarily the case. Sometimes these pictures only need to be a really low resolution in order to achieve the view that you need. So there is some information in here that tells you how to size your images. It's quite useful, but this is probably something for your web designer to look at and to go through and try to improve it. I've seen a lot of images that are not optimized. So JPEGs in particular can be compressed so that their sizes, it's exactly the same image, but the size can be greatly reduced. And if it's reduced, it's less data that has to travel across the internet to the client to display. There is a tool that we use alongside WP Rocket called ImageFi, which is another one you might want to look at. There is a free version, but we probably recommend paying for the pro version. But this is just gives you an example here. The original image here of this parrot was 1,651 kilobytes. By changing it to a modern image format, which is a AVIF, WebP is another modern version. We can get the size down to 131K, and that's with little or no change in the quality of the picture. Now, you're probably thinking, well, on high-speed bandwidth connections, why does it matter? Because, believe it or not, there's lots of people coming to your site that don't necessarily have a high-speed internet connection. So the more that you can optimize your page, more that you can compress images and make the less data that needs to be loaded down for the page to load, the faster it's going to work. You got to remember too, more and more people coming at websites now with a mobile phone, and the mobile phone may be on a fringe area of reception, and if they need to wait for a page to load, they're just going to browse somewhere else. So it's really important that the optimization of your images are done, as well as your CSS and your JavaScript. So WP Rocket is one of those tools that we use quite heavily, and it works well. Another thing you might want to think about too is where is your website hosted? How fast is your hosting? I've seen quite a few websites that use cheaper WordPress hosting environments, and I won't name them on this call, but come and talk to me after the call if you want to know. And it can take 3/4 of a second for the server just to react, and so that's not a good result for the customer, because the page insights then is taking considerable time. Now, again, why does all this matter for your website? It matters because Google looks at performance, when it's considering the index for your page. it's going to index websites that have a better performance. Um, uh, you know, it's going to index sites that have a better performance over sites that have a worse performance. Okay. So remember, you're in a sea of websites trying to sell the same thing. If you want to rank above some of your competition, performance is definitely a key factor that you need to look at in terms of your website. Now, I've just got a quick question here. I'll just I'm just going to show it on the screen here. So I had a question. When it comes to image file formats, which one would you recommend? JPEG, PNG, or WebP? I'm particularly interested to know the best format for various uses like photos, logos, and web optimization. Okay, so wherever possible, it's better to use the modern, and I'll just go back to Imagify here. It's better to use the modern image formats of WP and AVIF if you can. Now, you're probably thinking, I've never heard of that. I've only ever heard of JPEG or PNG. That's okay. A lot of these tools like Imagify, you don't really need to know anything about these formats. It will create and optimize your images, and it will present these formats for you. So it will change the images for you on the fly, and it will create and cache the appropriate images in the appropriate format. Having said that, there is differences between JPEG and PNG. For things like logos and small images and icons, I tend to start with a PNG format. For I'll just get rid of that question. For things like pictures, so for example, go back to our thing. So this image here, so actual photos, I tend to start with a JPEG format. Now, the interesting thing is, let's just have a look at this. And this can be changed to WebP or AVIF on the fly. So what you can do with this tool, you can press this and we can grab this picture here. Yeah, we can see that's a JPEG. All right, so we can actually convert that to a WebP image, and it will be more compressed, and it will be faster to load. In fact, we might just get a bit more advanced here for a second. I might say that. So you can see this image here is 405K. Now it's quite large, right? It's almost half a meg, right? And it's quite a good image. I'll show you what it looks. So that's what it looks like, right? Now I've got, just give me a second. I'll just log into our account here at Imagify. I'm going to just log in. Hopefully I'm not revealing my password here. If I throw that into something like Imagify, I'll just drag and drop. You can see it can compress it. So just by using something like Imagify, I can take that image down quite considerably. So it's at 405K. I've now reduced it by 57%, and it's now 177K. So you can optimize quite considerably by doing that. The other thing too is PNG is not always the best option for some of these things. People think they should do everything in PNG, but you notice here there's even an option here to convert from PNG to JPEG, because JPEG is still more efficient than PNG. I would be using logos such as this as PNG, but any photos I would definitely be using JPEG. Now we can get more out of this if we resize the image as well. So if I was to resize the image, now I don't actually think this image does need resizing, but we might just do it I'll just do it anyway. So if I reduce the size here just by, say, 50%, well, maybe 40%. 50 is probably a bit too drastic. Try again. You can see I've increased it. I've decreased the size of the image now by 68%. Okay. Now you're probably thinking, geez, it's going to take a long time. to do all that image optimization on my website one by one, um, you know, throughout my entire website. You don't have to. Okay, Imagify actually has a plugin for WordPress, and it will do all of this image optimization on the fly. So as you're uploading images to your website, it can be compressing and optimizing your images. So you can see here, this picture now is 89% reduced compared to the original. And if I download that, I'll just download that for a second. If I download that and display that to you, you can see there's a reduction in size. Now, I probably wouldn't recommend for this image to reduce it in size. If it was only been displayed on the web page in that size format, then yes, I would definitely reduce it. But because it's the main banner image, you're probably better off not resizing it. Probably going with this one. So if I look at this one for a second, I should display that one. So that is the optimized image, and that is the original image. So I don't know about you, but I cannot see. Oops, I don't know if you guys are seeing that. Hang on. You're not actually seeing that. Let me just, it helps if you're actually seeing it. Give me a second. I'm just going to stop my screen share for a second and just restart it. Share screen. Share the entire screen. All right, so, sorry, you can see there's pretty much no difference between the optimized version, that's the original, and this is the optimized version. It's pretty much no difference in the quality of the pictures. Okay, it might be a bit hard to see on the live stream, but trust me, there's not much difference. So you can get quite a lot of performance improvements just by looking at your images. Okay, so in this case, they would get a 56, percent improvement in the image size, which then in turn will help the page load faster, and it might bring up some of these performance statistics here. Okay, so you can see here it's taking 4.7 seconds to get to first contentful paint. You might be able to get to that a lot quicker if you were to load some of these images a bit more efficiently. Okay, again, it's telling you about this. Size them correctly. Look at using WebP. Imagify will do that out of the box. So will WP Rocket. So hopefully that answers your question about image file formats. Okay. Another thing. So we've looked at the website design of this particular business. We've looked at call to actions. We've looked at performance. We've looked at some of the SEO aspects. So look, all in all, this site, MacArthur Pediatrics Dentistry, is a very well designed and looked after site. So it's a good example of what to do. The only thing, my only comment is performance is a bit low. There is also a best practices section here. There looks like there's a few warnings about deprecated APIs. They're minor issues that you'd have to get your website designer to look at. But SEO is very good for this site. Accessibility is another area. This looks how to make the site more accessible. Background and foreground contrast, for example, this is picking up here. Again, it's only really something that's happening in the bottom of the page. So just here in this last little bit of the page, you can fix that very easily just by changing the color here. You can see the white against this gray. There's not a lot of contrast in the color, so it might make it hard for people who have poor eyesight to see. But again, it's at the bottom of the page, so it's not a major issue. So yeah, this is a good example of a website done well. So well done, RPJ Design, who did this one. So I might move on to another website. I'll just close this one. Okay, so we're going to look at this one, and I was looking at this one just before the call. So this is a local furniture warehouse in Campbelltown. They're like a monster furniture clearance depot, I think they call themselves. So I loaded up the page. I just found it randomly on the internet. The first thing I look at, obviously, is the above the fold content. In this case, the first thing that sticks out to me is this front banner here. So again, you've got a lot of contrast problems right here. This is very hard to read. I don't know whether there was probably an image that may have been here. And in fact, I can look. If I go inspect and just inspect those elements, it looks like, yeah, it looks like there's an image that hasn't loaded there, possibly because that image no longer exists, probably because it doesn't exist anymore. And so this probably looked good when you've got the image laid out at the bottom, but without the image, it doesn't look very inviting to the users. So if you've got broken links and broken images on your site, it kind of sends a signal to Google that your site is not well maintained, and it can affect your ranking. So for this particular site, yeah, I'd highly recommend you fix the broken images that you've got there. The next thing here is having a clear call to action above the fold. So they've got call now here and the call now there. I kind of think call now is not the only action you should have. Um, you know, calling now only really works if you're ready to answer the phone immediately. It's better to have book a call or other actions here. Um, it's I think you could probably put more call to actions here just to make it a bit clearer, or give other options to the users that come to the site. And the other aspect I look at for web design is just how does this scale in terms of different size screens. So obviously not everyone's going to be coming to your website on a desktop like I am. They may be coming on a mobile phone. In fact, most people are coming on a mobile phone. So straight away, when I go to, say, an iPhone 12 Pro format here, the text here is not scaling. It's getting cut off. It's good to see a burger menu, so the menu's done right. They've still got the search function available. And if I go to responsive here, I actually scale it up and down, see what it looks at. So straight away, the other thing I noticed too is not just the text being cut off, the call to action is now missing. Okay, that call now button is no longer there, and even in the menu, it's not there anymore. In fact, I've got to scroll down to below the fold before I see a call to action. So you've got to think about your web design in terms of different size devices and try to have good call to actions above the fold. And then you can see here some of these forms start to stretch out quite a lot once you get to this size screen. And if you get down even further, some of these things start to get hard to look at and start to change in size, etc. So, I'd probably, when you've got grids like this, it's usually better once you get down to a mobile size, instead of still having a grid, you start to stack it vertically, so that things can just still be displayed at a decent size. Again, another aspect we look at is SEO. How well is this one doing in terms of SEO, technical SEO in this case? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop back into Page Speed Insights. I'm going to pop the URL into this tool, and it's going to give us a little bit of view. It's also going to look at performance, accessibility, and other things. And this is a good tool because it's a Google tool, and Google looks at performance and these key factors when looking at your website. All right, so I'm just waiting for that to load the diagnostics. I'll just take a drink while I'm not doing that. So even though I'm harking on about performance of websites, this one's an analysis tool, so it takes a little while to run. So straight away, I can see here by the picture that's loaded, there's a problem loading this site. So it seems to be only providing a text load for this tool. So there's definitely something wrong here. It's taking about 1.2 seconds for largest contentful paint. Now, that's interesting because that's pretty quick, actually. But I can't argue that the first paint here is not very user friendly. You can see here from this view map tree, um, it's not. And I clicked on it. You can get a bit more details, but you can see here it's just text based output. So I would imagine this is actually a lot worse than this. To display the proper website itself, it's probably going to take a lot longer than than the 1.4 seconds for the largest contentful paint. Anyway, this tool is good to use on your website because it gives you an idea of what are the things that you need to talk to your web developer or website designer about fixing. Um, for example, text compression, images with explicit height and width formats. I'm not going to go into all these things. This tool also gives you some pretty detailed information about each of these things. Now, a lot of this stuff is going to be very technical. It's more designed for web developers, but at least it will give you a score that you can look at and then you can talk at to your website developer. I'm going to look at SEO. So one of the biggest problems here is they got links that are not crawlable. So they've used these link tags, they're A links, and there's no href attributes in there. So you shouldn't be using that kind of tag without a href. So that might confuse a Google crawler because it can't actually do anything with that. It doesn't know how to crawl that. Another thing that SEO looks at is these alt attributes in the images. So in the images here, it's best to have an alt attribute set. Now, it can be quite hard to do that because you might have tens of thousands of images. And having an alt attribute, and if you click here, you can learn more about alt attributes. You can see images must have alternate text. It's a descriptive alternate text that you need for accessibility, right? So if you don't have that, you fail in accessibility, and it's a major SEO no. But the good news is there are tools. If you've got tens of thousands of images that you need an alt tag for, there are tools, particularly on WordPress, that you can use to add automatically on the fly alt tags. One of the ones that we use, I'll just go to a new browser window here, is Rank Math Pro. And it's a free version as well, but I think you need the pro version. And one of the things it does, let's see if I can find it, is it will add I'm not going to be able to find it, but I know I don't need to really find it. It has this image SEO, so you can see it here. It will add alt tags to most of your images. Now, I found that this thing doesn't always work. It depends on what theme you're using. One of the themes it doesn't work with is Breakdance, which is unfortunate because it's one of the themes that I like to use the most, but it does work on Divi and some of these other standard themes. So you can simply install Rank Math Pro, enable this image SEO option, and a lot of your images will automatically have an alt tag added to them. Usually, it uses the name of the file or the title metadata inside the file to construct an alt description for you, and that can help bring this SEO score up automatically without you doing a lot of work. Alternatively, if you don't have a lot of images, I recommend just spending some time going through your media library and just putting an alt tag. Now, to give you an idea of how to do that, if I go to my own website here, and I'll show you the back end here, and I go to my image library, and I'm sure I've got examples here. There's a lovely picture of Louis, one of our newest employees. So if you look at this image, you'll find alternate text just here. Okay, so you can put things in here, and you'll notice here I've even got a plugin that helps me generate the alternate text using AI as well. Okay, and that can actually look at the picture and describe the picture for us. Okay, so it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of going through the library and putting a alt description in each of those, and then that will flow through and be automatically added to the website. Okay. Obviously, if you're on Shopify or Wix or Squarespace or something else, there's options with all these platforms to be able to add alt tags. What else can we look at here? Best practices looks at other aspects. So here it's looking at displaying image in the correct aspect ratio, and serving image with lower resolution. This one seems to be having a bit of a problem actually loading the website. So there is another tool I use, and I've actually run this tool for this site already. It's called gtmetrics.com. And I've got a paid version, but you can use the free version. And this can give you some more information about the sort of things that you can look at to improve the performance. In this case, it's the same issue. We're having a hard time loading the actual site. You can see it's getting a really fast score, but it's not actually loading the images, etc., for the site. But this tool can help you understand what is taking, like down here in the page details, you can see JavaScript makes up a big proportion, followed by images, total requests, mostly coming for images, coming to the site. So you've got some information here on how to improve performance, reducing image size. It mentions image file here. That's something that I was mentioning with the previous website that I was looking at. And running things like WP Rocket is another thing that can help. So I'm going to move on to another site. I don't seem to have any other sites actually. Sorry, any other sites coming forth. So look, if you have any questions as we go along, just pop it into the comments field. If you've just joined us, if you want me to critique your website, there's no one in the queue at the moment, and there's no one I'm looking at the moment. So if you want me to critique your website, all you need to do is pop a comment into either YouTube or Facebook, depending on which platform you're coming from, and ask a question, and I'll be happy to look at your website. If there are no further websites to look at, I might just jump to another website. Just give me a second. I had another website. It was a crash repairer. So this, again, I like to look at websites in my local area, but if I don't care where you're from, if you pop in your website, I'm happy to have a look at it. So let's have a look here. Just give me a second. I'm just waiting there. If you just joined us, if you want me to review a website, just add it in the comments. All right. So if I might just have a look. There's one here called Instant Windscreens and Tinting. So I'll just share my screen. I'll share this one. Give me a second. Yeah, so this is I'll just get rid of that banner. So This is a window tint windscreen repairer. So the first thing I usually look at is, well, first of all is, can I get a sense of what this business is straight away as soon as the website loads? And I do. You can see that immediately. Expert glass repair available in Campbelltown. So again, this is my local area. And the second thing I kind of look at is, what is there a clear call to action above the fold? So if you've just joined us, above the fold is anything that first loads on the page. So this is, when the page loads straight away, this is above the fold content. As you scroll down, everything that you've got to scroll to is below the fold. Okay, so below the fold is you imagine sort of there's an imaginary line at the bottom of the page. The most important content is actually the stuff that's above the fold. As you go further down the page, you'll find, and you can use tools like Hotjar, etc. You'll find less and less people will actually scroll all the way to the bottom. It's important to have all this information, but the above the fold is probably the most important. So again, you need to convey a sense of what you do. You need to also have a clear call to action. So in here, we've got get quote at the top, which is good. I would probably also recommend putting get quote here next to the call now button. You've got a call button here. You've got a call now button here. So you've got two clear call to actions available to us. The other thing I look at on websites is just how well do they scale for different size devices. So that's what they call responsive web design. So it responds, the page needs to adaptively respond to different devices and size screens. So if you right click on Chrome and go inspect, you can actually just bring the size of the screen up and down at will, or you can even choose certain device sizes. For example, that's a iPhone 14 Pro Max. And so straight away you can see some issues here. So they've got a call button, but it's right over top of the get quote button. Now, sometimes that's just because the way it loaded, but in this case it's not. So there's probably a little bit of work here they need to do. I'd recommend just talking to the website designer here and getting that button in between there, because now you've completely lost the quote button. In fact, as I scroll down, it's still underneath that. So that's not good. You could position this down the bottom left or somewhere else, or just put it alongside and not have it floating, because the menu floats anyway. When I say floating, this menu here is basically sticky. It stays at the top. And you'll notice these icons here, the button to call, or even the chat button here is sticky. They kind of stays on the page. You can click on this. I just want to get rid of that now. I'm not sure how to get rid of it. Okay, and then the good thing here is they've got their menu in it, and this is what we call a burger menu. See, it's got like the top layer, the patty, and the bottom bit of the bun. This is the burger menu, and the burger menu sort of decreases down, and you don't lose any aspects. So this is fairly standard website design, and you'll notice that as you change the size here, it should adapt. So the burger menu disappears once you get to a certain size. I probably argue this menu is a bit too big to have it appearing already. You probably need to keep the burger menu a bit too longer. So you'd have to talk to your website designer about the breakpoints set up for this size. Once you get down to this size, it looks good. Okay. So yes, it is responsive, but there's a few little tweaks that need doing to this page. Just to improve it further. Now, the other aspect I look at on these pages is the what do they call it? The SEO, the search engine optimization. So you can go to this little tool here called Page Speed Insights, and you can pop your URL into there, and it will do some analysis. Now, this is a Google tool, and it will do some analysis on the page, and it'll look at a number of factors. You look at performance, look at accessibility, it looks at and it also looks at SEO. So I just want to have a look at the SEO for now. And there's a couple of different aspects of SEO. One is the on-page content. So what kind of words do you have on your page to help you rank high? This is what you can see on the page. But this tool is looking a little bit more at the technical aspects. So it's looking for title tags, it's looking for meta descriptions, and looking for things that's underneath the page. And why that's important is because crawlers will see that information and it'll use that for its index. So if I go to Page Speed Insights now, you can see it's come back a result. And we'll get back to performance in a second, but for SEO, there's a little bit of work to do. Some links here don't have descriptive text, which is not good because the crawlers, the Google search bot crawlers will use that to help understand what the content is. So having description on your links is really important. Images with alt tags, I spoke about this with the previous ones. So having alt tags on your images are really important. And then having links, you need to make sure you don't use these A type tags without a href attribute. So this is all very technical. So this is sort of stuff that you need to get your website designer to look at. But I think the good news with this one, if I have a look, if I inspect the page, and we look at the page like this, but crawlers actually look under the page, so it looks like this, right? Which doesn't really make much sense. But if you look in the header, you can see there's a title tag set. They've got a meta description set. Okay, you're probably wondering, well, who cares? Well, why worry about that? So if I pop in this, I go to Google and I just put site colon and that address, you'll see this is what the index looks like for that particular site. So you can see that is the title there. So if you don't set the title up correctly, that won't display correctly. And this is the meta description here. Okay. So again, like if you don't put a meta description, Google will crawl your page and it will just guess what your content is. And it usually just grabs the first bit of text that it finds on your website, right? Which may not be really tuned to the kind of keywords that you want to be targeting, right? Again, the title as well, like it's important to have think about your SEO on page content, right? In terms of what content do you actually have. But I guess the first thing you need to do is make sure you've actually got a title and a meta description. A lot of people do the titles automatically because when they create pages on WordPress or Shopify or Wix or Squarespace or whatever tool they're using, the title is, they give a name for the page, which usually is the title, right? But I've seen a lot of pages that don't have meta descriptions. They just simply do not write them. And that doesn't mean that Google won't index your page, but it just means that Google has to guess what your content is. It's better to specifically write a meta description so you can control, and the meta description is just this little bit of information here, so you can control what's in here. Now you're probably wondering, how do I actually do that, Matt? Like, how do I get this information in here? Well, the good news is on WordPress or Shopify or any of these things, it's usually a fairly easy process. There's two plugins I usually recommend for WordPress. The first one is Rank Math Pro, which will help you making sure that you've got all those titles and meta descriptions and all the things that you need. Titles and meta descriptions are only one thing, but it will help you with all those things. It actually gives you a rating for the page. So we provide Rank Math Pro free for all our customers because it's so good. Another free one you can try is called Yoast, Yoast. And again, it will do what's necessary. And they had a paid version as well that you can use that gives you more features and more control. Just going back to the page insights, that's probably enough about SEO. Probably the biggest problem we've got with this page is performance. You see here, I only got 30 out of 100. So it's taking 5.4 seconds to get to the first contentful paint. So you can see by this little tree map here, or this little pictogram here, it's taking quite a considerable amount of time to display something for the user. Now you're probably wondering, why does that matter? Well, not everyone's coming at your website with a high-speed broadband internet connection. A lot of people will be coming to your website on mobile phones. They might be in fringe area. They might not be in 5G coverage. They might only have 4G. They might have. They might be somewhere busy, and this page doesn't load very quickly. So 5.4 seconds can, end up being 10 seconds, right? For some of those people. This one I think is using a slow 4G throttling speed. So obviously this is going to go a lot quicker on a fast connection, right? But that's fine. They're easy to cater for. You want to be able to get this thing to work quick on a slow connection as well. Okay, and what's the impact if you have a slow performing website? Well, the first impact will be people just don't wait. They'll just go back to the search and go to the next one on the search, and they'll just skip you, and they won't engage with you at all. The second thing is Google takes into consideration this score, and it will rank you lower than some other people that are performing better. So it's best to have this score as high as you can so you can push your ranking up and not have Google use that as an excuse to rank you lower. Okay. So this is an example of a really bad performance. And so this tool will give you various reasons. The red ones are probably the ones you want to work on first, followed by the yellows. Render blocking resources are a typical issue I see. The good news is a lot of these things can be fixed up by using tools and apps that are available without having to, do much web development. This is a WordPress site, so it's actually recommending looking at something like WP Rocket. WP Rocket is a very good performance tool. We use it. I provide it free for any of my customers that we feel need it. It can help improve performance straight out of the box. You can install this, load this up, choose the default settings, and you can usually go from a really bad performance score to a good performance score quite quickly. It does take a little bit of tuning to get the settings right, but it is a very good tool for helping with that. Another thing I found that can help with performance is just the website, the web hosting as well. There are some crap hosting providers out there. That's the only way to describe them, and they don't perform as well as others. I always recommend going for a quality cloud hosting service provider. We actually use Kinster, and we've used WP Engine and other providers in the past, which do provide superior performance in terms of loading. So that's one thing you can look at. And you can see here, look, you got this main thread work process here. The time spent parsing, compiling, executing JavaScript is 7.7 seconds, which is quite a long time. So JavaScript is code on your site that does various things. You could talk to your web developer about improving the performance of some of the code. I find with WordPress sites, and this is, I believe this is a WordPress site, one of the things that can contribute a lot to performance is just having a huge number of plugins. People think they just keep adding plugins after plugins after plugins. Once you sort of get above 20 or 30 plugins, there's a lot of things doing a lot of stuff on your pages that are kind of just slowing it down. It sort of defeats the purpose of having the plugins to begin with. WordPress has 50,000 plus plugins. I would argue that only about 10% of those are actually worthwhile using. Most of them are crap. They're not written with performance in mind. They're not quality pieces of code. So, you need to talk to a WordPress expert, someone who understands which plugins to use and which ones not to use. Sometimes people just use a plugin to do something that could have been done in a couple of lines of code with an action or a filter. And that's a lot more efficient, and it can be just run on that particular page if it's only required on that page. A lot of plugins will install a facility and then run the JavaScript on every single page on your website, even though it's not required. So, talking to your web developer and trying to just get what you need as a minimum to display that page is really, really important. Again, so you can see here JavaScript execution time, got lots of different code on this site, right? So it's really important that you try to optimize this stuff as much as possible. Another example here is there's unused JavaScript, just like I was saying before. There's lots of stuff that's loading here. It's actually just not even used. So it could be removed from the page altogether. And again, CSS is your cascading style sheets. That's what determines the style of the various elements on your page. Again, you can use tools like WP Rocket to optimize some of that stuff. Another thing, there's not a lot of images on this page, but another thing I see with images is just images take a long time to load, and there can be a lot of savings made by optimizing your images as much as you can. So in this case, they're loading this main banner image here. So if I actually save that image, just have a look at that. It's 514 kilobytes. So it's about half a meg to load. Now, there are tools you can use. Imagify is one of them, and I was using that previously. And what Imagify does is it can optimize your images. Now, the larger the size of the image that's got to upload to a website, the longer it's going to take to load. It can affect your performance. But if you use something like Imagify, and I've just grabbed that banner image and I'll just run it through Imagify now, you can optimize the images and actually compress them. So in this case, the image was 514 kilobyte. We've taken it down by 54% and we've made it 240 kilobytes. So just by optimizing that image, we've halved the image size immediately. In fact, if you download that now, have a look. If I display that, that's the optimized image there. If I display the unoptimized image, exactly the same image, exactly the same size. We didn't resize it whatsoever. But this one here is going to load much quicker than this one. And you can see there's absolutely no difference in the quality of the picture. Okay. So, I know what you're thinking though. If you've got a lot of images on your website, you might be thinking, oh God, I'm going to have to spend hours optimizing and re-uploading them to my website and changing the link to the picture, la, la, la. No, you don't have to. Actually, Imagify has a plugin for WordPress and we use it. We have you can see here, we've got an unlimited plan we use for our clients. And it will do the image optimization on the fly. Okay, so to show you that working, this is just the back end of our website. And you'll see here, if I go there, you can see, if you go to our image library, you can see here's an example. This is Louis, one of our new employees. You can see here the details. When we uploaded this picture to the site, Imagify automatically grabbed it and optimized it for us. So it took it down from 532 kilobyte to just 337. So we saved 63% in the quality immediately, right? And it also creates a next gen format. So you'll notice on this thing, it talks about next gen formats. All right. So WebP is one of them, or AVIF is another format. And we talked about this previously on our previous example. You can use tools like Imagify to display these images in that format. Okay, and that's a lot more efficient than JPEG. Again, you don't have to change all your images. You can just install a plugin like Imagify on your WordPress website, and it will do that changing for you on the fly. Okay, so you can get your website developer to install that plugin. You can subscribe and use a subscription to Imagify, and it will do that thing. I think Imagify does have a free version. I'm logged in at the moment, so I can't see where you can do so much But I found if you've got a lot of images, you're probably going to have to pay for it. But it's well worth it. If you come to someone like ourselves with BSharp Tech, we provide that free of charge for all our clients, for all our WordPress clients. If you're on Shopify, Wix, Foursquare, any of the other tools, there are other tools available to optimize images. Some of those other platforms actually optimize images on the fly anyway, so you don't really have to worry about some of that stuff. I think Shopify, for example, does that. Yeah, so that's the instant windscreens and tinting website. If you've got any questions about this or any questions about web design, you can pop it in the chat. Otherwise, I'm probably going to leave it there for the day. It's been fun doing this. I'm going to do this quite regularly. So if you want your website reviewed, all you got to do is jump on to YouTube or Facebook. That's the two streaming, and I think we're going to stream it to LinkedIn shortly as well. And all you got to do is put your website in the comments, and we'll consider it for a review. Obviously, if we've got lots of websites, we may not get to everyone. So first in, first best dressed. But if you've got any questions about anything we've talked about, and you want to talk further one-on-one, I do have a discovery session that you can book in for. If you go to our website, there is a lovely call to action above the fold, and sprinkled all around our website called book a. I'll just show it to you. Book a discovery session just up here. Click on that button there, and it will take you to a page, and you can book a time with me directly. And this is linked to our calendar, so you can, it'll find a hole where we're available. Okay, so that's, I highly recommend if you do want to talk further and you want more detail, happy to do this as a one-on-one as well. Okay, so look, thanks very much. Have a wonderful day. It's been great. Reach out, ask questions in the comments. Even if you watch this video after the live stream, happy to answer any questions that you might have. If you just put it in the comments, happy to chase up and follow. Likewise, if you want to get in touch with us, you can go to our website. There's a chat icon on the bottom of the website. You can reach out there, or you can book a free discovery session. Okay, thank you. Have a wonderful Friday.